What's up, everybody? Kim Becker and Arif Dean here for your weekly AMA for the Colorado Avalanche, brought to you by Mile High Sports. It's been a few days since the Colorado Avalanche have played Arif, but they've got a game tonight, and so we'll get into that. Of course, some questions from fans. Make sure that you guys are following Arif Dean on Twitter, because he's going to send out this tweet asking what questions you all may have, and we're going to answer them right here. And that tweet is going to say, what questions? Arif, we've got several. Let's roll right into this one. What is the biggest threat to the Avs repeat in the West currently?
In the West currently, it's going to be... So I kind of talked about this on the podcast yesterday. There are three teams that stick out to me. The Dallas Stars, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the third one is the Winnipeg Jets. Of those three, Winnipeg is playing pretty good structured hockey. Vegas is playing pretty good structured hockey, and they're a good team. But Dallas sticks out to me more than Vegas. And I know that might be a little bit hot take-ish, or maybe not the team that people would pick. But the difference between the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights is, number one, I know Vegas has Jack Eichel, and I know Vegas has, Alex Pietrangelo. They have some bigger names, and I know Eichel hasn't been part of their playoff runs in the past, but Vegas seems to always struggle with scoring the deeper they get in the playoffs. The Dallas Stars with Jason Robertson, and I know he's got little playoff experience, just strikes me kind of like Nathan MacKinnon for the Avalanche as the kind of player that no matter what's going on, you can always count on him for a goal. When you look at defense, Vegas has Shea Theodore and Alex Pietrangelo. The Dallas Stars have Miro Heiskanen, Esa Lindell, and a nice cast, Ryan Suter, guys like that. So defensively, they're both strong. Goaltending, Logan Thompson is a rookie who's kind of a fake rookie. He's 25 years old. He's played in the NHL. He's pretty dang good. But Jake Ottinger, we saw what he was able to do against Calgary in the playoffs last year. So put that all together, and the Dallas Stars are the team that stick out to me most. If the Avalanche or the Stars win the division, that means they won't face each other in the first round. But if Winnipeg somehow wins the division, that means Colorado and Dallas will probably be 2 and 3. So they're the team that I think is going to give the Avalanche the toughest challenge. And my favorite thing about the Dallas Stars is the last 3 times the Avalanche lost a playoff series, 2021, 2020, and 2019. In 2019, they lost to Pete DeBoer and the San Jose Sharks. In 2020, they lost to the Dallas Stars. In 2021, they lost to Pete DeBoer and the Vegas Golden Knights. It is now 2023. Pete DeBoer is coaching the Dallas Stars. So that's a coach that has beaten Jared Bednar twice before. Yeah. And that's a team that has beaten them before. I know it's a different look. In 2020, when the Stars beat the Avs, Andrew Cogliano was playing on Dallas's third line. He's now obviously on the Avs. So that's the team that sticks out to me most. But if it wasn't a team, it would be injuries. But we'll stick with the team. The Dallas Stars are going to be the biggest challenge for the Avalanche in the West.
Okay. I like that. Some interesting ties there, but I like that background. That's some good info. Okay, let's roll on through, and we'll talk about the game tonight against the Arizona Coyotes in Tempe. Of course, the Colorado Avalanche are headed there. Is MacKinnon joining them on the plane, or has he already?
He is not. He's been skating, and he's kind of itching to return. Jared Bednar was on Altitude Sports Radio this morning. So really quick, the reason why we don't have many clear updates before Jared speaking is the NHL has built into the collective bargaining agreement something that the Players Association had negotiated for is Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas, absolutely 0 team activities.
Okay.
So that is why there are 12 NHL games today. And this is not normal. It's not normal in the NHL. It's not normal in the NBA or any professional sport. All 12 of the road teams playing tonight, December 27th, traveled this morning to their other team because you're not even allowed to travel on the 26th. It's part of the CBA, no team activities. So the Avalanche took a flight this morning to go to Arizona to play a game at 7 p.m. So they might be a little rusty. It's going to be a little bit tough, but it's a 90-minute flight. Shouldn't be too hard.
Quick flight.
Yeah. So because of that, we've not had any updates. I know the last game, JT Comfort took a stick up high. Martin Kaut left the game. Val Nichushkin left the game. We haven't had any updates on who's skating and who's doing what because players were not allowed to skate, in team facilities or do anything team related. With that being said, Jared did speak on Altitude Sports Radio this morning. He does a show every morning or every week in the morning, talking to Vic Lombardi and Mark Mosier. and just kind of provide updates on the team. So the update on Nathan MacKinnon is that he is skating and they think he's getting close. I personally saw MacKinnon skate last week 3 or 4 times. He was always out there when the Avalanche were practicing. He would start with the team or maybe skate before the team and then, switch over to his own sheet of ice and skate with other injured players or with the skills coach. So he's itching to get there. I would say anytime between this Saturday and the week after, I would expect Nathan MacKinnon to come back. I think this Saturday would be a lot of fun. The New Year's Eve game against the Toronto Maple Leafs would be a great time for Nathan MacKinnon to come back. Last year, he missed about a month of games and came back against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I could see him doing the same thing this year.
Interesting. Okay, cool. We'll definitely talk about what you see this year wrapping up with when it comes to injuries here in a second, but let's stay on track with the game tonight. They're back from their mini break, obviously, tonight in Arizona. What expectations do you have against the Coyotes for the Avs tonight, Arif?
It's going to take another muck and cut and grind kind of game, the same way that they had to beat the Nashville Predators, the New York Islanders, the Montreal Canadiens. Those are all teams that, other than the Islanders, are probably not going to make the playoffs. The Islanders themselves might not even make the playoffs. They're in a tough division. So, but in all 3 of those games, the Avalanche needed, I believe, shootout or overtime 3 games in a row. They needed a shootout against the Islanders, OT against Montreal, and OT against Nashville. It's going to take something like that again today. I know these are teams that you're supposed to beat and you should beat. And if you were healthy, you would probably beat them pretty well. But given the way that the roster is built right now, given the injuries and no MacKinnon, no Landeskog, no Nichushkin, and all these other guys, it's going to take a muck and grind type of game to win these. Fun fact about the Coyotes, for some reason, even last year, they kind of gave the Avalanche issues in a season where the Avs were just incredible and pretty relatively healthy. Yeah. So I expect a tough game today. Mullet Arena is a lot of fun. The Coyotes have learned how to embrace that rink, the college vibe. They're 4-1-1 in their last 6 home games. Yeah. Do I expect the Avalanche to win? Yes. Do I expect it to be an easy game? Absolutely not. There barely is an easy game in the NHL when you're healthy, let alone when you're dealing with the injuries the Avs have now.
Well, and they flew this morning, which it does affect them. I mean, it is a short flight, like I said. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself by now saying this, but when you do travel that way, your whole day is just kind of a little jived up, right? Because they don't have that relaxation in the morning, whatever they need to do for their body, and they're kind of jamming it all in this afternoon. So that
you can tell they're trying to keep to like the same schedule because they're taking their morning skate at 11:30 in the morning for a 7 p.m. game. And that's usually when the road team takes morning skate. So I don't know how early they flew, but I think they want to keep the 11 a.m. through 7 p.m. schedule the exact same as usual. Let's get to the rink. Let's take the ice at 11:30, have a quick morning skate. Let's get a pregame nap in the afternoon. So they're going to try to make this as much of a routine game as possible, but flying before all of that instead of rolling out of bed and going to the rink is going to feel a little different.
You should ask how they feel about that. If you ever get the chance, Arif, let us know if they like flying the morning of, if they like flying the night before. I'm sure there's some mixed reviews, but I used to skate with Disney on Ice, and sometimes we would have split weeks, and we would have to fly in the morning before a show at night, and it's hard to get your skates on. It is. It's absolutely you're all kind of crumped in a plane there, and then.
It's absolutely tough. I would imagine their morning skate is going to be optional, and they're going to do a lot of off ice work and just stretch it out and get a good workout. That's what I would assume. But also it's tough to really challenge the no skating or the no team activities thing, because this is something that the players negotiated in the CBA to have 24, 25, and 26 all off.
Yeah.
You can't throw another day and give them 27 off to use that as a travel day, because now you're shortening an already shortened NHL schedule even more. So it's a grind, and this is part of the grind. I would assume there's a lot of players that every summer when the schedule comes out, checks the schedule and sees if they're playing at home or on the road on December 27th because of this.
Yeah, for sure. But they're also professionals. They know how to prep the last 3 days. And I'm sure having those 3 days with their family and being able to enjoy that holiday means something pretty special to them. They'll be able to kind of work that in and know how to prep for the travel today. But yes, it'll be interesting to see how tonight goes. Of course, we'll chat about that one later. I know you'll have a good recap article, Arif, for that one tonight later on for everybody over at Mile High Sports. But let's talk about the end of this year, because it's coming up just in a few days, and we've touched on the injuries a little bit. I know you said obviously the last few days we haven't gotten specific updates because of those no team activities, but having tonight's game, the next few days, I know it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the next few days, but let's talk about a general injury update to close out 2022 and who you kind of expect to see coming back.
Yeah, so like I said, Jared did speak on Altitude Sports Radio this morning, and he kind of went through the laundry list, and it is a laundry list of updates for the Colorado Avalanche. Firstly, Pavel Francouz has a lower body injury. That's courtesy of Peter Baugh. Obviously, Jared said that Pavel was going to miss some time, but he didn't say exactly what it was. Peter Baugh says he spoke to a team sports spokesperson and learned that that's what it is. It is a lower body injury for Frankie. When it happened is unclear. Georgie Alexander Georgiev played the last 4 games before the break, and I thought that was a little odd, but he was also on a bit of a hot streak and won all 4 of them. So Frankie was probably dealing with somebody. So Jonas Johansson has been called up from the Eagles. He's going to be the backup tonight, probably to Georgie in Arizona. Landeskog, Byram, and Manson, those are the first 3 that Bednar talked about. He said they're not close to returning, which is pretty much on schedule. Landeskog, we expect, a mid to late January, potentially early February return for him. Josh Manson, I know is, I think his initial diagnosis was a month, his prognosis, and that was almost a month ago. So I'm sure I'm feeling like there might be a little bit of a setback there. Bowen Byram, I think I spoke either here on the AMA or on the podcast that it is a little bit concerning that we've gotten no updates on Byram, because it was November 4th in Finland where Byram was hurt and labeled as week to week, and the weeks are going by. We're almost in January.
Ago.
Yeah. And this is a kid that's had concussion issues in the past. It is very concerning to me that Bowen Byram is A, still out, and B, not close to returning, not skating, no updates, nothing.
Oh, no.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
The next update he gave was McKinnon is skating. He's getting close. And these are all courtesy of Raj over at Altitude Sports. He put out all these updates. Martin Kaut, I believe he said, is week to week. That's somebody that left the game against the Nashville. Yes, against the Nashville Predators. He left that game. I'm losing track of what
I know, right?
When. Darren Helm, no timeline. He's been skating in a non-contact jersey for the last seems like a month and a half now. Andrew Cogliano is back. He's somebody that was injured 2 games ago or 3 games ago and missed the last 2 games before the break. He will play. Nichushkin is expected to miss time. Frankie out as well. So we'll get an update on Nichushkin soon. It is a bummer. This is the second time he's been out this year.
Yeah, just got him back, it seems.
Yeah. So Nichushkin had that broken foot against the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 5. Played on it in Game 6. Coming into, and this is something that a lot of people know by now because he had tweeted out like the, I think it was the X-rays of his foot after the Avalanche won the Cup.
Yeah.
The morning of Game 6, when I got to Amalie Arena in Tampa, Nichushkin walked into the rink wearing a full suit, nice shoe on one foot, and on the other foot, he was wearing a bathrobe slipper from the hotel.
Oof.
That was the broken foot. And he limped his way into the rink, and I looked at JJ and the other reporters, and I said, this guy's going to dress in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Oh, my God.
And he did, and he played, I think, 22 or 23 minutes, and he was incredible.
I don't know how he did that.
Neither do I. He was ready for the start of the regular season. 7 goals, 5 assists in the first 7 games. Just electric start for him. Then he was out 17 games with a lower body injury. Unclear if it was related to the foot or not. We haven't heard, any confirmation on that. He thinks it kind of was. Last week when the Avalanche were wrapping up one of their home games, I saw him in the locker room, and we were all talking to Arturi Lehkonen, who's in the stall next to him. And Nichushkin, what was his broken foot had a ton of extra wrapping on it, and he was unwrapping that. And it's going to be something that probably bothers him for a while. I don't know if it's anything to be super concerned about, because the later you get into your 20s, and especially as a professional athlete, there are going to be things that are going to hurt you. People have seen the way that Eric Johnson and other veterans in the NHL, the way they wrap certain parts of their bodies that have been ailing them, but it doesn't necessarily affect their play. It's just something you deal with. So it could be that, it could be more. Unclear. All we do know is from Val is that it is a lower body injury again. So is it related to the one earlier in the season? Is it related to the Stanley Cup Final one? Who's to say? We haven't gotten an update there. But that's kind of the word right now on Nichushkin. So we're going to find out more here soon when Jared gives updates on what the deal is and how long he's expected to be out. So here we are. Andrew Cogliano got healthy. They had, recently gotten back Lehkonen, Rodriguez, and Nichushkin. But now Nichushkin is back out. It seems like Bowen Byram's had a little bit of a setback. Josh Manson potentially. Gabe Landeskog's still on schedule. As of now, no setbacks. Granted, it is, it's getting close to the time where Landeskog should be skating, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Darren Helm probably should have been back right now. Mark Out getting hurt. it's a toss up every single day of who's going to play hockey for this team. But they're 6-1 in their last 7. They're on a 4-game winning streak, but they're not making it easy, and it's not their fault, but it's just the way it is this year.
All right, Arif, we've got one more to wrap this one up. In 2023, what do you think the one thing that the Avs need to improve upon is in order to defend the Stanley Cup?
The easy answer is health. They need to improve on health, but that's not something you generally can improve on. I know there's ways you can, but that's just kind of the hand they've been dealt. The big one for me is depth. We've realized and we've learned real quickly that a lot of these guys that they've had to call up with, be it Martin Kaut, Dryden Hunt, who they claimed on waivers before trading him to Toronto for Dennis Malgin, be it Charles Hudon, be it, they've had to play Jacob McDonald, Curtis McDermott before he got hurt, Jean-Luc Foudy. I'm losing track of all the players, but, of all the guys that they've had to play, we've noticed Cal Burke has had a couple games too. Their depth isn't as strong as it was a year ago. Granted, a year ago, they didn't have to dig this deep into their depth chart. The step in the right direction was trading Dryden Hunt for Dennis Malgin. Dryden Hunt is a good depth piece for a team that needs fourth line help, that needs just like a shutdown guy that's not going to give you much offensively. And that's what the Maple Leafs needed. It's not what the Avalanche needed. So they traded him for somebody who's going to give you an offensive spark in Dennis Malgin, who played 16 and 17 minutes in his first 2 games and was pretty good. Speedy guy, could give you some goals and pitching offensively here and there. So we'll see how he does. But we're kind of noticing that this team does need a little bit of depth. So last year they went out and traded Tyson Jost for Nico Sturm, and then they acquired Andrew Cogliano for nothing. Nobody was taken off the roster. He was acquired for draft pick. They're going to need to make trades like that again this year. They're going to need to bring in guys like Sturm, guys like Abe Kubel, who they claimed on waivers last year, guys like Cogliano, who they got from the Sharks. Just to kind of shore up that depth and have options that when injuries arise, you're not digging deep into the AHL depth chart. Rather, you have more fringe NHLer type of guys that you can skate and play. On defense, same thing. I'm loving what Andreas Engeland has been doing for the team. He's a towering defenseman and, can really play a sound game and be invisible on the blue line, which means he's not creating much offensively, but he's not causing any turnovers. He's not sticking out, which is a good thing for a defenseman.
Yes.
But they did lose Jack Johnson and Ryan Murray. I still will stick by my preseason prediction that they're going to trade for Jack Johnson at the deadline, bring him back from the Chicago Blackhawks. But depth is what they need, especially with the way injuries have been going. If they get into this kind of an injury mess in the playoffs, I mean, it's going to be hard to win any series. This is what they dealt with in 2020 against the Stars, but you want to be able to call up more NHL ready type of players when that happens.
Okay. All right, Arif. Well, thank you so much to everybody tuning in. This was your weekly Colorado Avalanche AMA brought to you by Mile High Sports. I'm Kim Becker. He is Arif Dean. Make sure that you are following both Arif and Mile High Sports on Twitter because he will send out this tweet every week asking what questions you all may have. And we'll answer them right here on our weekly AMA. Arif, have so much fun. Good luck to the Avs tonight, and I'll see you back here next week.
Sounds good. See you then.